Hi, everyone. Sorry about that. Good morning, rainbow light beings. Hello, Carol. Good morning. Sorry, YouTube was being a little funky. Wouldn't let me get started, and I had to get out and get back in. Hold on. Hold on. Oh, yes. Okay, hold on. I got a dog puking, everybody. Sorry. Okay. Okay, let's just leave that. You come in here and leave that. Oh, yeah. Okay. That was perfect timing because just as I started this, Pepe's been pacing around and he just yacked up his rice and lentils. So I got I'm living some life here and I got some dog puke right next to us. So we're gonna keep rolling with it. Yeah, the dogs have been the last 3 or 4 days. They have been in this Ascension elevator as well. So we're all kind of like moving in this house in energetics. Bud's been like weird. His stomach has been weird. I've actually been okay. So I've been kind of nursing to everybody, and so Bud's body has been, kind of feeling a little funky. His stomach. I've been doing. I have a massage therapy um, certification, but who cares? I've been putting that to use now. That education to use quite a bit, and have been giving him massages to kind of like help to ground down some of these energies. And then the dogs, I've been doing a lot of dog massage, and I actually like was combing them with a crystal the other day. Bud was completely making fun of me, but they loved it. It was like this, like, it's like a good chunky crystal. So I was just helping them ground down the energies, and at the same time, they liked it. Pepe's just standing there staring at his throw up out there and is probably going to carry on. So we are in quite the energies right now. We have all throughout the weekend, really, it was getting notification after notification of geomagnetic storms. We got one, we started one my morning, so it was overnight for you all. We had one that was a KP5, KP6, and the index goes up to 9. So it's an above average storm coming through right now. Here in my area, there's no cloud cover. It is pure. This is the bark that I've been telling y'all about. Hold on. Come here. You want to go out? Go out there and do what you're gonna do. Go on. Get outside. Sorry, he's just gonna drive us crazy and keep barking. So the KP index that it happened. Oh, so no cloud cover. So it is just flooding in. It is pure. It's like standing underneath a waterfall at this point, and there's no rocks that are deflecting any of the water, the flood of light that's coming in. There's really nothing deflecting it here. So it is just full on today. So it'll be interesting just to watch. How are you all doing? I want to know how. No clouds here either, Jessica. Isn't it funny because last week, as I kind of polled people, a lot of us were under the clouds, so there was some protection there from this from the plasma light that's coming in. And I was just taking pictures too, and it is like white, and then when it comes off, and it's so cool because here the water comes, or the sunlight comes down and like reflects off the water, so all of the ionization from the Ionian Sea is all over us too. And so I feel like I'm having like, energy is just flooding in. And this morning, I could almost hear the whirring of energy. It was just almost like I could hear almost a sensation, and I knew that to be the energies. There's a really I'm really starting to get in tuned and almost hearing them. I feel like I've always been in tuned. I've just in the last few years of really starting to get to the point where I understand the energies. I have this intimate relationship with it now. But now I can almost I I've seen more than I ever have, and I'm also hearing more in almost an auditory way. So it's interesting how our awareness of these energies are rising. So I'm wondering if you guys are having that same awareness, where you can almost, now you're starting to put it together. We've always been able to see it in nature, see energies, and as far as like how, how the winds blow, and if you really tune into it, you can understand it. But now it's a whole different level of awareness of these energies. Laying low today, yeah, Carly. I was going to say me too, but I haven't. We've actually been out quite a bit today, walking around, and it was rather exhausting being around people, and it's becoming Riviera season here, and I didn't know anything about this, but I'm a little bit nervous about it, to be quite frank, because the city of Saranda is like um, the perfect population for me. There's enough people without it being a whole lot of people, but everyone's has been saying, oh, when season comes, like the city doubles and triples, and Bud and I are like, ooh, and Riviera season comes, so everybody comes here for vacation. So I can see more and more people coming. So I'm a little bit like, I not nervous, but I'm more interested to see how I do with that, because I don't intend that I don't expect that I'll do very well with that, but I don't want to affirm that for myself. So great to see everyone on here. Yeah, you too, Carly. Blessings to all. I'm at work and the energy feels like quicksand. Could use a nap. Yeah, it does, right, Alicia? That's a good way to put it. I wanted to. This morning was really the first morning that I was able to like, I got a quick message, and it's really an extension from where we were last week. I'm just going to look at my notes here, because I thought it was funny, because they came through and said your change request has been approved. And back when I was a project manager, we'd always have to put change requests in if we had any kind of changes to the original plan or to the original project. And so it was funny that was the words that my team used. They're like, your change request came in, and immediately I had an understanding of, from where we have been operating in our third dimensional timelines, like the choices that we made to kind of create that matrix level world of ours, our reality. That was, there was a point when each of us was like, change requests, like, this isn't quite what I want, and this is really what I want. And it's really the change requests, like in project management, when you had the original project, then you had the change request, the client would come back and say, actually, can you add this in? I want, just kind of tightening up the plan, tightening up what it is, like, how is it going to completely meet my expectations? Because I thought this was going to meet my expectation, but this is actually, as we're kind of going through the building process, the creation process, the client then would say, oh, I would like to add this in and add this in. So we'd have to have a change request in order to do the work and have the proper monies and exchanged. So the whole metaphor to that was extremely clear to me, in that we originally had this request for our plan, and it was really our ego request. And our ego request came in and said, I want this, this is the life that I want. And then we went and had it, we went and got it, and it was this, matrix world. And however the expression was for you, for me, I know what it was, and it was pretty much to be a mom, and to do the best I could, and to try to support my family and do all the things and still nurture myself. And yet that was a lot harder than I thought it was ever going to be. And all of a sudden I had this life, and it started to get frayed. We've talked about the fraying timelines. And for the last week, we have been really not pressed, but we've been really encouraged to be closing out these timelines. All of these timelines are sucking energy, from us, these old past timelines, old relationships that maybe we haven't completely let go of, even if we haven't had any contact with that relationship, but it's just like the heartbreak, is still there, or the resentment is still there. Maybe this is a spiritual path that you were on, and a community that you were involved in, and you stepped away, but when you think about it, there's energy still there. So we're all going back. We're all being asked to go back in time and sit with these timelines as they come up, so that we can reintegrate them back into a whole, into the change request. So the change request really comes in is as you are getting um, as you are getting the call to go back to a timeline to close it, the change request has been approved. And what's happening is as you change it, you then change the whole frequency of yourself. Okay, we know this, right? This is what we've been working on. But I kind of want you to have a visual, because what's happening right now is we are so quickly um, closing down old timelines and coming back into an integrated being. And with these energies coming in, it's like sucking you up, right? So like we're being beamed up, from we're being helped by the solar activity as well as the galactic activity. Those the beings of light in the highest of the vibrations as there are in the universe, they are helping us. We have this whole team helping us, and between the two, um, we are being lifted up, and we're in this ascension tunnel. I've talked about ascension tunnels, just seeing them on the Schumann resonance, and then I've shown, I've seen pictures, I've shown pictures of these portals, these tunnels that are literally coming out of the sky now, and we are in one with these energies, and especially with no cloud cover. And if you're in your area and your full blue sky sun, right, like today, this daily tune in is about today. If it is wide open, it's like you're in the elevator and you are rising up so fast. And that's because a lot of those timelines are shutting down. The other interesting thing that I'm noticing today, as I was kind of going throughout my day and just paying attention to what flies through my mind as I'm walking. um ugh, Pepe, this is so gross, you guys, but like you're all in real life and you get it. So I'm sitting here and I see activity going on over here. And if you got on late, right as I went on live, Pepe, our little adopted dog, threw up. And as I'm talking, he's over there just eating it up. And there's nothing I can do about it. It's so gross. So back to that. So real life does go on as I talk about all of these daily tune-ins and these energies and these beautiful beings that are helping us. And we go into a different world on these conversations at the same time. And in my physical world, there's dogs eating puke over here. So just know I'm real, and I've got a real life going on too. So being in, as the other thing that I'm noticing is all day today, as I was going up, I was having these flashes of, okay, I'm going to try to explain this. I was having these flashes of myself, like in different scenarios, and having conversations, not necessarily with people, but having conversations. Oh, it's so hard to explain, but it was like there were conversations that never existed. It wasn't for any, any memory. It wasn't from a previous lifetime. And I was like, oh, what is this? This is so interesting. It was as if I was having conversations about work related stuff. And yet it wasn't like anything that's already happened. And what came to me when I was like, what is this? What am I aware of right now? And as we're rising up, so we have the change request to our soul related 5D reality, right? That's what we're all kind of rising up to. We're working to rise up. So as we put these timelines together, we're coming up, and so we're almost collapsing time with the energies that we have right now, and being really intent on closing down timelines. As those timelines close down, that energy then comes back into us, and we go up even further. So we're ascending really quickly through different frequencies, which means different dimensional realities of us. So as we go through, and as we kind of fly through these dimensional realities, as we rise up, we're getting glimpses of these parts of those realities that we're kind of skipping over, so to speak, to get to jump up the timeline and kind of collapse time to a higher reality. So It's hard to explain, but those are the little nuggets I was getting. It's almost as if you're going past a floor in an elevator, and maybe the door, maybe it's a glass elevator, right? And you go past a floor and you can get a glimpse of what's happening, but then that floor disappears. So as we rise up, we're kind of getting these glimpses and experiences of higher timelines, but they're higher timelines than where, maybe we were last now moment, but they're not the timelines that we are supposed to anchor into, because our change request is taking us to a higher reality, a higher dimensional reality. So we're on the rise to that, but because we're rising so fast, we're going through all of these dimensional realities, and it's kind of given us some disassociated feelings sometimes, like maybe just being like in between worlds, nauseous. Like that's what I know is happening with these dogs. They've had one's been throwing up, and the other one's had diarrhea for days now. And I know, and actually they're both getting better. But what I have noticed though is like we're all four of us, Bud, myself, and the two dogs, we're ascending pretty, we're going fast, and I can feel it. The peace level that I'm experiencing is going up. I'm getting more and more distant from that 3D world. I'm getting more disinterested in it. That's what's most interesting. Within days, I'm getting less and less interested in what's going on in that 3D world. So there's a lot of movement energetically, which does have an effect. So if you're feeling nauseous, or maybe a little bit, you have vertigo a little bit, this vortex of this elevator that we are in, this elevator of energy that we are in, that's just lifting us up really quickly, especially today with these geomagnetic storms going on. We're experiencing a lot of movement. So just be patient with yourself. Are you all feeling this too? I'm curious what you got going on. Let's see, no clouds here either the last 2 days in Alabama and now Georgia. Interesting. No clouds really here in Colorado for the past couple of days. Isn't this interesting? Like when we really tune into this stuff. Last week, a lot of us were having clouds. So we were being buffered. We were being, but we were also having these highly magnetic solar days. But we were kind of being buffered by, most of us, by the clouds. Now I think, not that I think, what I'm understanding is we can hold more light now. We can hold more light, and because we can hold more light, they're going to open up the skies and let us get the full blast. So when we get the full blast, it means we can handle it. We know that we can handle it, but it's still, we can handle it, but it takes us sometimes to our brink. So if you're having a tough day today, just feeling a little bit disassociated, or feeling just out of tune, like out of whack or something, there's other words that I want to use, but nothing's coming to me. You kind of know what it is. White sun, the most intense blue sky here, Brenna. Yeah, the sun is super white here. Like, I mean, white. Laying low today, Carly. Yeah, so great to see everyone. Oh, I think I already read these. Okay, could use a nap. I understand your apprehension about the season coming up to Saranda. Yeah. I'm not sure about. It'll be interesting. I think, it's funny because I used to have this fascination with my guides are so great, and how they're delivering this ascension journey to the ultimate, request for my soul life. Years and years ago, I was kind of fascinated with the whole Riviera life. I mean, before it was cool for before we saw people going to Positano and all of that, it was just back in the day when I mean, in the 80s and 90s, I just wanted to go to like Cannes and Saint Tropez, and like have that kind of like experience. But I think now the universe is kind of like, we know you're not going to fully love that because it's going to be so crowded with people. That's where everybody goes. But we're going to give you a Riviera experience. It's going to be a little bit laid back. It's going to be in a place you hadn't heard of, and you didn't read about it in Us magazine millions of years ago. It's called Saranda, and you're going to probably do one season, and you're going to get your fill of that experience, but you're probably going to want to get out. So I think that the universe brought me here to have like the experience of the Riviera season in the way that I can take it right now. But probably once I have the experience, I'll be like, okay, I'm done. So we'll see. That's why I'm not so sure that we'll be in Saranda for a long, long time, but we're going to be somewhere cool no matter where we go. So if you make plans to come and see us and and come for an immersion. Wherever we are, it's going to be an amazing place from here on out. So even if you're here in Saranda, we'll navigate the craziness together and see some crazy, you know what, I think this summer, and we'll still have a great time. Aloha. So hi, Liza. I'm late today. We'll listen from the beginning. You didn't miss much, Isabel. Just my dog puking when we got on. We got on here. My co-star in Astro app said, "The past will always be there for me today." That's beautiful. And it is always going to be there, right? We can always go back to it if we need to, like there's the whole fine line of like dwelling in the past, and then there's between dwelling in the past, which becomes like more of the dysfunctional side of going to the past. But then there's like those moments where we do have to go back to the past, and we're called there. It's not like we have to, but we're called there to sit with it and really extract those lessons that maybe we have, we've left because we've had other energy towards that lifetime. So yeah, if we're called to the past, like peacefully go and say, I come in peace from a higher perspective. What is it that I'm here to understand more, so that I can close this lifetime down, really, this timeline. So it's a beautiful rite of passage, I think, as we move up, because we know what we're doing, and it's a really great way to honor the life that we have lived and the lifetimes we have lived. I know that I've been taken back to like random stuff. I was telling a story yesterday to our friends that came over, who own the place, the bar and restaurant that I've talked about. They came over after they closed the place, and we were just having a nightcap, and I was just telling stories, like this random story about my childhood that was so funny. We were laughing, we were all cracking up laughing, and I was almost peeing my pants laughing so hard. And after like it kind of died down, the conversation went on. I was sitting there with like thinking about it. I was like, why did I tell that story? It's so random. It was so out of nowhere. But I got the message right away. Like, you're closing down that timeline. There was still energy going to it, but not all the timelines that we're being asked to go to are sad ones or hard ones that we have to close down. Some of them are like, hey, go back here and just suck out the last bit of joy from that, because that was a really good memory. So we want you to pull in the last bit of energy from that, and how, anchor that in, and then close that down, because it was still pulling some energy. So it's interesting. It's like just being in this process and being aware of it, and where we are being asked, like where our teams are taking us in consciousnness, is so freaking fascinating. And it's all so that we can be clear vessels. When the sky is clear and bright and open, that energy is flooding in. So when we are clear and bright and open, and we receive that, we are like, transformers of energy at that point. We're just, one big ball of energy. So we're having to like get it all tidied up. We have to get all of our frayed ends all tidied up, so that we can just be a full on vessel of this ascension plasma energy, and rising up. So we're on it. We're doing it. And right now it's really intense. We are in the express elevator going straight up, ascending into higher frequencies today, naturally. And then the more you do as far as closing down timelines and pulling in that energy, then it's kind of like you hit the jet fuel button on the elevator and it goes pew. So there's a lot. So you have to pace yourself, so you don't, if you overdo it, you'll fry yourself, right? You'll just be so exhausted. So this is where we also learn to manage our energy, to manage how quickly we grow. Because what I've learned this past year is like, we take a big leap of growth, sometimes it can almost take you to your brink. I went almost to the brink of what I could handle, and I know now, like, that was a really big jump, and I don't want to do too many more of those. I would rather just gradually pace myself and enjoy the journey a little bit more. So having a challenge with a few friends, they say they will not have their soul or energies loosed, yet they continue to fight the system. It's no wonder I am super selective of who I interact with. Yes. Yeah, this is it, Lisa. Like, this is go time with this is go time on the relationships and the people we have around us. Like, go time meaning like every single one we're being asked to look at and say, is this one that I'm willing to take with me to the to the higher version of my life, and some of them it's hard to be like, no, you don't make the cut, because you feel like a jerk. But at the same time, we have to be maintaining our own energy. And if there's anything that might suck a little bit out, that is not what we're being asked to accommodate right now. We have to accommodate only what is good for us. And if we have to let something go and it comes back and meets us in that higher timeline, and in that soul timeline, great. If not, I think by the time we get that soul that soul timeline, we'll be fine with letting go what we had to let go of, because this timeline up here that we are ascending into is so much greater for us and so much in resonance that everything else will be not forgotten, but everything else will be done. It'll be a done deal. Thanks, guys. Was wondering if it was my headphones. Oh, static. I saw somebody said, Carly. Yeah. Oh, you're hearing static too. Ooh, wonder what that's all about. I don't know how to fix that. Thanks, guys. Okay. I was nauseated yesterday. Thought it was because we moved to a new state and time. Isn't it interesting? We can always find like logical reasons, but remember, no matter what the logical reason is of, oh, I feel nauseated because of this, or it's probably because of this. The physical world is always going to catch up to the energy. So something creates, the energy of the time, the time change, or the energy of moving and all of that. It's always preceded by energy, and then life kind of follows it. So yeah, it could very well be from the times change, or it could be from a new state move. But ultimately there was energy that moved everything first. So you're just you're catching up now, and so the energy in your physical body catches up as well. Hope that makes sense. I don't feel like I explained that as well as I wanted to. I had another thought coming in at the same time. Oh, about the time change. I have not. That was the question on the Ascension Bank call on Saturday about my time change. We don't change until the 27th here. So I will move ahead on the 27th. So I've got some time, and then so that I don't know really what I'm going to do. I'm just going to think I'm going to leave it at 4 o'clock my time. So it might move you guys ahead another hour. I think. I don't know. I don't even know how that all works. We'll figure it out as we go. And if you like come in late, then But yeah, I've never dealt with this time zone over here, and how that changes everything. But I'm still like 4 o'clock for me works, because anything earlier, we're still out and about in our day, and anything later, it coincides with Ascension Bank stuff. So 4 seems to be a good time for me. So we might have to shift it one more hour once I change my time, but we'll figure that out on the 27th. I was telling Carly that yesterday I felt an intense wave of anxiety. I had to stop and say, if this is mine, I don't want it. It felt like that stomach drop you get when on a roller coaster. Yeah. Oh, yeah. So I'm wondering if like when you get an elevator, and especially the express ones, like if you go to like a big skyscraper and they just take off, like sometimes, but like you don't really kind of feel it, but you do. You're like your being feels it. You're like, whoa, what was that? So I'm wondering, Tara, if there's a lot of like, and then when we start ascending really quickly, everything our body knows, like the frequency of our body is kind of like, what's going on? Not the frequency, but like our awareness in all areas starts to go like, what's going on? So there could be some anxiety, plus you're picking up anxiety. There's a lot of anxiety going on in the collective. So again, if we're ascending really high, that nauseousness and that anxiety, because it's like, where am I going? Where am I going? Where am I going? Oh my gosh, I just passed that timeline. I kind of liked it. I liked what I was saying in that timeline. I liked who I was in that timeline, but oh God, we're still going. Like, that's how it is for me at this point. So it's a really interesting time. And just, I mean, it's like, I'm so tired of saying this because there's only one way to really say it, but just being in that anxiety. It's not yours. It's, like I will never say, oh, my anxiety is coming up. I will not affirm that for myself. I won't own it. It's just anxiety that's showing me something. And once I pass through it, it is no longer mine. It is no longer mine. Oh, wait, this is collective stuff. This is no longer mine. So the awareness of identifying, I don't think it has to be done, but I find it to be better when I can really kind of stop when I feel something and say, what is that? And then, if I could put a logical reason as to why it's mine and work through it, great. If not, I let that go. that is no longer mine. I let go of that time. That timeline is definitely not mine. So I'm not even going to deal with that. So just keep riding this elevator because it's a big one. I got the most intense nausea last night. I even went to the bathroom thinking I was going to be sick. Wow, that's crazy. Isn't it like fascinating? Somehow feeling nothing, dreaming, remembering nothing, just being. Yeah, Michelle, um I'm aware of like a lot of things. Like I think my body feels good. Like everything, I feel really good. I feel at peace, which is why I can so tune into these new awarenesses, these new flashes of wisdom, these new ideas that are coming in. So that's really been the most fascinating thing for me. But you said something else. Oh, and interesting enough, like barely getting up at that 3 a.m. time. I've talked about like that's my sweet, my sweet space of like connection. I've just been like hard sleeping right through that since the dogs feel better now. And I woke up and the sun was up and shining, and I'm usually up before the sun naturally. So yeah, it's been like hitting me hard, it being these energies at night. What's happening in Saranda now? We're getting into the season here, Sharon. I was just telling everybody, so I'm not quite sure if I like that or not, because it's kind of a quiet little city and town. But it's about to get not so quiet from what I hear. Straight up bright sun and blue skies with rainbow light codes. Yeah, the sun was like, I took some pictures, and all around the sun are these like beautiful lights, rainbow lights. I love it. Taurus season is light, Lisa. Let's be friends. I'm noticing my most vivid dreams taking me to past lifetimes come after sun exposure. Yeah, interesting. I mean, there's the light, right? The light comes in and shines light on old, old stuff. So it's working. We're now like getting such evidence of this stuff working. That's what I think is the most beautiful thing, especially as I walk with Bud. And he a lot of times he's not here today, but a lot of times he'll tune into what I'm saying. It's hilarious because I mean, that's why I love him so much. Like he has not said too many words about what I talk about, but I can tell he is open and he is listening. For 5 years now, he's listened. And we've had some really great conversation. Like we go deep into our conversations, and I'm like, honey, that's how, like, when you say it this way, that's what it, like, this is how the energy of that works for me. This is how I see it that way. And we've been able to like connect the most amazing things from his viewpoint as being very analytical and logical, and then me kind of bringing in science sometimes, and some of the like some of the more ethereal things. But he's an amazing just open-hearted soul. But like we are now walking, we'll walk through, and I'll look at the sky and be like, honey, you know how I talk about ascension portals and I show you these things on this human resonance, and you kind of like, I see it. I was like, look out in the sky. Like the sky is showing us what is happening energetically. So when I can finally put that together for like, and he can see it, and then I speak to it here, he listens, like he's making a lot of connections too. It's fascinating. It's really cool. It's really cool to see this analytical men coming together and really starting to like not embrace, he always has, but really starting to piece together my world with his. It's just making us even stronger, but it's really starting to solidify for him that we are in some kind of like amazing process, and he's paying attention now, and I love it. He'll point things out to me. So yes, you changed my reality the other day, Lisa. Oh, look at you guys. I don't even know what that's about, but I love that. It'll move us back to the time we were last week. Oh, okay, Tara. Thank you. I can't do that kind of like, I don't know why. Like my brain doesn't work with like super logic oriented things. My brain just seizes up, and I'm like, I don't know, when I go an hour ahead, what happens to you guys? So, okay, Tara. So we'll figure that out. Like, remind us, Tara, when we get to the 27th, and I'll be like, Tara, what is it for you guys? I think it should stay the same when I change my time on the 27th. I feel the same way about time change and not knowing which way it switches. It's all make believe anyway, right? That's why I don't care to really figure it out, because I'm like, it's all stupid anyway, so we'll just figure it out. Something I've ordered over the weekend. How can we measure how much of the population rises in consciousness? Pondered. Because, okay, that's a great question. Okay, hold on. What's the best way there's something popped in my mind, but I want to make sure. the first thing that came to my mind, Marie, with that, just like how I would respond is that we will see first we'll feel it, right? We will feel we are all tuned into the collective. Remember, our my I am presence is one with every I am presence in humanity. We can remind ourselves to connect in with the I am presence of everyone in humanity. But if we're not even aware, we still are, right? We are all one consciousness acting in individual expressions. So, how you feel in every given moment when you tune in, if you're feeling heavy and you tune in and you're like, this isn't all mine, there's some collective heaviness, then we know the collective, for the most part, is feeling denser. So when we rise up and you start feeling more peace, you start feeling more inspiration, maybe some more courage and willingness, and then you really get settled into that and you feel it as a whole. In that moment, the collective is feeling that as well, because you're feeling it. So the first way how we know that we are getting higher in frequency as a collective is individually we're feeling higher in frequency than the day before or the now moment before. So really pay attention to how you're feeling. So now with where and I'm going to just speak from my experience. That's all I've got, and it helps me to maybe make some metaphors in this place of peace that I have finally found myself in. Um, I'm like a very, very clear vessel at the moment of feeling the collective, and I feel this. I don't feel heaviness today. I feel I want to say willingness, but it's not quite willingness. It might be what's another word that might be on here. Uh, Nothing fits it. It's right on the edge. Like it's right on the edge between like the life constricting emotions as a collective and the life. It's almost as if like I have a thought. When Pepe first came around, we have this elevator that comes up here. We're on the second floor, and usually we take the steps, but sometimes I'm super lazy and I want to take the elevator. And he was so afraid to come into the elevator. And so finally I got to the point where I was like, fine, then you take the steps, I'll meet you up there and I'll hit number 2. And by the time I get to the top, he's there waiting for me when he comes out. Then all of a sudden he kept seeing us get in the elevator and rise up, and he knew where we ended up. Finally, after about literally it took him like 2 weeks before he'd even get the courage. I don't like just to yank him in. Like I want him to like feel it out. And he finally made his way in. And now that dog, you can't keep him out. As soon as that door opens, he's the first one in there and he's the first one out. And he's so excited to go into the elevator. So I use that because it's kind of like when, hold on, I lost my whole thought of um hold on. That was a good metaphor. Oh, y'all, I'm sorry. I totally lost it. Anyone else experience? Hold on. I want to go back to the same way about the time change. Hold on. Pondered. Oh, Marie, you took it away. You retracted the message. The consciousness. Yeah. So anyway, there was a whole thing. I'm sorry I lost it because I felt like it was really good and it would have made sense, but I lost it. Um, the elevator, stepping into that elevator and going up with the, how do we know it's the consciousness of the collective? um Straight answer is we'll feel it. I really want to come back to that, but it's gone. Anyone else experiencing pain in their feet, heels when standing on a hard floor? I'm pondering it as a metaphor for softer ground and craving ease and comfort. It could be, Sharon. I am not. Is anybody else feeling anything? I have not had anything in my feet, but that's like the lower root chakra would in what comes to me is those anything from the hips down is is attached, not attached, but is associated with the root chakra, which is your security, which is your 3D life, your family life. So if there's anything maybe like a little bit imbalanced in that area, it could just simply be that it started, that dis-ease is starting to create a physical a physical manifestation in pain in some way, and it just happens to be in your feet. And I also like the other possibility of what you said too, that it is a metaphor for being in softer ground, finding in softer ground. So maybe if you soften, what comes to me is if you soften to whatever whatever there is, if that's challenging you, like maybe a relationship or just something in that 3D world that's very much attached to the survival part of life. If there's any, that will soften if and when you soften into that particular thing in your life or that particular circumstance in your life. Soften into that, be in peace with it, no matter what it is, and that will soften then the ground, the ground metaphorically and probably pretty literally in your life. So hopefully that answers something. I don't know really what that's all pertaining to, but there's something in that survival area that might be just needing to be softened into. Oh, you hear static too? Maybe it's just this, this geomagnetic storms is causing static. I have no idea, you guys. I don't know how to do any of this technical stuff. Oh geez, totally didn't mean to. I was putting my son down for oh, no worries. How do we know we are raising the consciousness as a collective? Thank you. Here it is. So just like Pepe was nervous about stepping into that portal, into like through that door that took him into this thing that automatically like appeared 2 floors up, and now all of a sudden his new family is there. It like rocked his world. So what I'm feeling in the collective is that there's many that have ascended up to these areas. Okay, so maybe, and this is right now, right? So we as a collective consciously we've kind of are up in this area, but we're like, it's almost as if the collective's afraid to go into courage a little bit. There's we're getting close to willingness, but there's this step. They're like, do I go into that flow of change? So there's this pause, this collective pause of, okay, I've been asked to change. Remember we talked about that, and I'm really afraid. But there's really no way to go but up. And I'm going to go through this. I'm going to step through this portal and say yes to change. And then what we know is it will move them up. It'll move the whole collective up into some life expansive emotions and growth once we start to step through that doorway and be brave enough to, hit the button to, our change request is through that doorway, and the elevator is going to take us up. So the feeling that I have now in the collective consciousness today, last week was different. Yesterday was different. Probably this morning was different if I would have tuned in a little bit more, but tuning into it now, I feel like there is a rise in the collective. And of course, it does logically make sense with all of the energies we've gotten in the last couple of days and weeks, mostly days. And then also the light going on. People are seeing more than ever. There's now evidence of things. People are starting to confirm a lot of what they felt, what they were angry about, what they were fearful about, they were, overwhelmed about. There's a lot of lights going on. And when the light goes on, you ascend up higher, and then you get to this point. And when you get to this point, then you're like, okay, I see what needs to be changed. I'm being asked to change something. That's where the collective is now. And we're waiting for the collective to then step through that doorway, to step through the elevator like Pepe did. Was like, okay, I'm going in. You can't keep that dog out of that elevator. So my hope is that what we're feeling is people saying, okay, I'm going to put my pinky toe in, and we're going to have the courage to say yes to change. And then the whole collective comes in. And that's when that critical mass happens, because we've got enough people in the courage area, which then takes us into the life expansive energies, which creates an electromagnetic field of change, and we start rising as a collective up. So the more that you and I can be in our own ascension tunnel and moving up, we are then pulling everybody with us. And as they pull up and they get in that courage, then it's just critical mass. The momentum starts towards change, towards those evolutionary rises in our systems and in all of it, in our lives, really. Oh my gosh, my other message erased somehow. Sorry, people. That's okay. Thank you for coming back and putting that in. You brought me back to that elevator thing. Do you have that ascension chart as a PDF? I do somewhere actually. I'd have to find it, Jessica. I know that I do. I just haven't been in there for a while. But I can. I have these cards. I actually have a whole um, bunch of decks with me. Of all the things, I brought a bunch of these decks, and if it wasn't so expensive, I would put them up for sale. But it's super expensive to ship from here, so I got to figure out something else. But I do have it, and I will figure out how to get that out to you guys eventually. Don't Probably not tonight. How we show up for and within ourselves, the message will appear. Even if the collective still feels drawn to the low vibes, it's up to us to be the change we want to see in the world. Yeah. Thank you, Lisa. And that's a really great kind of place to bring it to a close. Um, yeah. Collectively, we are the example. We being those of us willing to say yes to these changes. The change requests sometimes are a big jump from the original plan. So my original plan was my ego plan, and this is what it's going to look like, and this is what society told me it should look like, and then I got there and I was like, change requests. I just want to go with my own life, and that change request came through a year and a half ago, and like it popped me up. And there was a lot of adjustments in there, as many of you know, like who've been with me since October when I started doing these daily. There's been a lot of stuff that in that actually it just wasn't October, but that's when it was like really, really changey and really uncomfortable. So like there's a big growth spurt that has to come with our change request. We have to be willing to step through that elevator and get in there and rise up as quickly. But when we emerge, right, when we emerge at a timeline, it's gonna be different. It's going to be a completely different frequency. It is going to feel really good, but it's also going to be kind of a shock to the system as well, because a rise in frequency changes everything. We know that. So as we rise, we are changing in that rise. So we're morphing and changing and grounding and integrating and processing and learning and bringing on new light and downloading and integrating. And so it's all going on as we ascend. So it's very, disorienting. So just expect today and probably for the next couple of days, 24, 48 hours to maybe feel a little disassociated, to feel maybe a little discombobulated, and just allow yourself, drink lots of water. Like water is a really, really big necessity right now. I can see it with the dogs. I can see it in myself. Like I can't get enough water. So we have to be grounding this down. So I think that's it. I've talked my way out of wanting to hear my own voice. So I'm going to stop talking. Thank you all so much for being here. If these daily tune-ins bring you value, I would love to ask that you return the value in the form of a donation. This is what I do. This is how I support myself and my family, and I show up here every day and do a lot of work behind the scenes to support the daily tune-in. So I would love to ask for your donations to help support this platform, to keep it in service and to keep it free for all. So thank you very much. I look forward to seeing you tomorrow on tomorrow's Daily Tune-In. Have a good day, everyone.